If you have a Microsoft Surface Go, you may be looking to expand the internal memory using a microSD card. But what kind of stuff can you put on it? And what kind of card should you get? Do speeds really matter? Today we'll take a closer look. Stay tuned. All right, so when it comes to micro SD cards, there's a lot going on with them, and there's a lot of theoretical debate about random speeds and sequential speeds, which matter more. Also, what cards are better than others, and there's a lot going on here with this stuff. For instance, some cards have better warranties than others and higher fail rates, and all that plays an important role here, although I wouldn't say it matters too much on the low-end Surface Go. First, let's talk about the kind of stuff you can actually do with the micro SD card. I'm happy to report it's actually very easy. You just throw in the micro SD card, go into settings, and then you can change this up. You can actually tell it where the default apps and games should be installed. If you want to put them on the SD card, you can do that, or you can keep them internally. Now, when it comes to installing apps and games, just remember that SD card will always be slower than the internal memory, even on the 64 gigabyte Surface Go, which, as we all know, has slower internal storage. It's still around twice as fast, though, as any micro SD card. But besides apps and games, you can also install photos, videos, maps, and other things to that card by default. And if you want, you can always transfer already existing apps back and forth between that SD card and internal memory. So if you do install it to the card and you find it too slow, well, you can throw it to main memory if you want to. Just keep in mind that some apps cannot be installed to the card, including ones that came with Windows 10, and sometimes developers like MyTube won't allow their app to exist on an SD card due to that performance degradation. All right, now we know what we can do with the micro SD card. Which one should you buy? There's a whole range of devices out there, ones that cost 15 bucks, ones that cost 80. Well, we actually bought both of them from Amazon. We also bought one that was more mid-range in the $60, and that was the Lexar. And these are all pretty good cards, but as it turns out, the real cap here is gonna be the Surface Go itself. So no matter what card we're putting in there, we're getting max read 85 megabytes per second, and for max write, we're getting 55 megabytes per second. Those speeds are okay, but some of those cards can do way more than that. That Delkin can actually hit 250 megabytes per second in the right device, including the Surface Book 2 and the Dell XPS 15, which we did try it on, and they did get those speeds. That means the Surface Go is going to be the big limiter here. Now, I should point out, those are sequential read and write speeds, so that's when you transfer a large file between the disk and the SD card. What about randoms? A lot of people get upset about randoms. We don't mention them all the time. And randoms do play a part here. If you're transferring a lot of files that are smaller, say 50 or 100 files at a time, or you're doing apps, well, again, the limiting factor here will be Surface Go. We never saw these random speeds for read go over 7 megabytes per second, and even on the cheaper card, it was around 4.5 megabytes per second. The real world result wasn't that dramatic. If we took 50 photos from an external source and transfer them to the micro SD card, well, it was about 20 seconds or 22 seconds between the cards. So that 2-second difference doesn't really matter all that much, in my opinion. Now, if you do 3,000 photos, I'm sure it adds up, but if you're doing that with a Surface Go, well, you probably should have bought a Surface Pro. Another real-world example is we loaded up a 10 gigabyte MP4 file on all these cards, and we put them in the movie player, and as it turned out, they all load instantly, and more importantly, we didn't have any issues scrubbing, that is, moving that slider back and forth. There was no caching, there was no buffering, everything was instant, whether it was the slow card or the fast card, meaning real-world usage here doesn't seem to have a dramatic play. Now, I suppose there are theoretical circumstances, and you'll tell me them in comments about where the faster card will actually outperform the slower one. And that's probably true, but I'm more interested in the casual user here. If you're just putting a lot of music on this, you're putting movies on these things, or you're even going to launch some documents and apps, well, I don't really see a big benefit here in spending a lot of money for the more expensive card. Now, if you can pick up, say, a Samsung one on sale, go for it. Just keep in mind, the speeds aren't going to really matter too much here with Surface Go. The hardware itself is the biggest limiter. The only thing you need to really look out for is get a UHS 1 card that's class 10, and you should be pretty much good to go. All right, so that's a quick look at the micro SD card experience on the Surface Go. Now, there's a lot to unpack with this, I know, and I'm sure you're going to tell me in comments things I missed. That's okay. We wrote an article on this on Windows Central. We can always amend it and add your information. So leave me a comment below and tell me what you think. You can also head to that description and get some buy links for the cards we used here if you want to try them yourself. If you have one that you want to recommend, tell me in comments as well. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody.